Well, this is a great way to start a live.
Why is it black?
Oh, I guess my camera is on there, but there's nothing else there. Never mind. I'm being silly. All right. Well, hello, everybody. I know, right? Been one of those long kind of days, right? What a great way.
Hello.
Man, there's a lot going on in there. Not just on the, the farm and the other farms and the other homesteads, around us, but in the world and in the county and in the state. And there's a lot. You've had a busy week, huh?
Very busy.
Yeah. I don't know what you got on your list. Some of it I'll have pictures of. We normally go over this.
Yes, but we've been very busy. We've been crazy busy.
All right. Are you preoccupied?
Oh. Yeah, that's not good.
Somebody texted B animal pictures of some kind. Oh yeah, that's not good. Anyway, let's get some hellos. All right. Let's see here. Palmetto Paratrooper was in first. Can Squatch, good to see you. Terminator, good to see you. Canberra Smith, welcome in. City Greens. We did have a great week. Happy Friday to you. And it was a zoo. We'll fill you guys in. Let's see here. Starlet Dope, good to see you. Jean Mengue, welcome. And the greatest name on the internet.
Half a love plum.
See, she's so trained to say that. She can be text messaging on the phone and still get it right.
I'm paying attention. I'm tag listening.
Lisa, hello. Good to see you. Hey, thanks for your email. Those are some pretty cool pictures. I'm not going to name the place because I don't know whether you want me to or not, but those are pretty cool. I shared them with some of the inner community that was interested in that. Let's see here. Keep trucking. Skanes girl, good to see you. Probably see you soon. Hey, Gypsy, the king himself. Jeff Gypsy, Hefty, Lefty, Amazon, Slick. I missed one. Mud Dauber. Mud Dauber is in the middle. They're getting hard to remember.
We need to write it down.
Yeah.
Like a little.
As it gets longer. City Green says the humidity has been brutal in Texas. It's actually been rough here too. We had a 90+ degree day here, which is rare for here. And it was super warm.
It was hot.
Yeah, Carrie Davis, good to see you. Kent, welcome in, my friend. Silver Lining. What's going on, buddy? Hope to see you soon. Let's see here. Al Joe, and of course, Barbara. Good to see both of you guys. You guys are chatty. That's good. Hey, my buddy Scott's in the house. Hope Nikki's listening as well. Marcia, good to see you. I know I'll see you guys before too long. Let's see here. Hey, Zeus, welcome in. Jane, good evening. Dana Green, welcome in. Let's see here. Gratitude to Grace and everything as well. Here, I hope it's well with you as well. Ricky Dicky Doo Dog Rhymes. What's up, guys? Good to see you. Harry Can Hempworth. And, of course, the beautiful Paula. Good to see you guys. Yeah, he said they're transitioning from very wet to extremely hot for next week. Yeah, it's that time of year, and we're about to be punished. Hey, Loco, what's up? How are you?
Extremely hot almost.
Good to see you. Yep, Dana Green's in the house. Conserve friends, good to see you. And I think I made it. Skins Girl says it's 90 at 7 p.m. where they're at. Yep. It's not that here, but it's not too far off for sure. All right, babe, what you get us started? Oh, hold on, one more. Very important. Mo Engineer is in the house.
Hey.
The smart ass himself has joined the party.
Hey. Well, I've been busy weed eating, getting to know my weed eater very well.
Your
weed eater too.
I said you didn't know it already?
No, I love my weed eater. I love the circular blade on the end of it. You got a new one, and it's the Milwaukee battery powered, and that does work really well up against the fence so that you don't, hit it with the saw blade, and that really.
So not only did she confiscate my weed eater, then she went and confiscated the weed eater that I had to replace the weed eater that she confiscated from me.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's a lot to get around. So,
do you guys find it funny that when I call her out on that kind of stuff, like she just doesn't miss a beat? Like, yeah, duh.
Well, somebody's got to use it. Since it's just sitting there.
Speed rhymes with Grug. Welcome in. Hello, hello.
That wind
Yeah.
is cooking.
Yeah, Tamara said, I don't think I'll ever get finished with weed eating. No, it's, it's one of those things that you really try hard. I did not realize this when we started homesteading, but this would be a good lesson, for someone who's starting homesteading in it, is that getting things like that, like weed eating, getting those down to being a minimal maintenance issue is a journey. Like, it's not just something you go and do in a weekend. It's something that you have to do over years and years and years and years and years and years and years. And you keep closing in. Every time we plant something in the food forest, that's one less piece that we have to weed, or one less piece, right? But that doesn't happen in a weekend or a month or a year or 5 years. That happens over a gigantic amount of time. Our food forest right now is 3 years old, and there's huge spots to fill. It ain't even close to being at a point where it's completely just doing what it's supposed to do. We'll get there, but it'll be a decade.
It took me two days to weed eat the food forest, the orchard area, just going in and knocking down. I mean, some of that stuff was just as tall as I was, so knocking down some of that stuff so that I can see what else is in there. I had a zucchini that was dinner worthy, and sliced that up and grilled that with some hamburgers.
That was good too.
Did you like that?
Mhm.
Did you eat it?
I did. Gratitude to Grace says what's yours is hers and what's hers is hers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the rule, Grace, and I've come to accept it and all those things. I just think it's so funny how my wife just goes through it very like Hannibal Lecter, like just matter of fact. Like not like in fun, or not just.
It just is.
That's what I mean. That right there.
It's no different I have a tractor. You call it my tractor.
Well,
but you used it to plow the driveway.
Speaking of tractor, Gypsy wanted me to tell you that a tractor is fun to drive like a weed eater.
The tractor has been in the barn since winter.
Mm-hmm.
Now that it's mowing season, it's time for a tractor to come back out.
It's June.
Mowing season.
June. That's right.
Our grass kind of started a little late. We basically just started.
If anybody,
I mowed the backyard once.
If anybody's looking for a used tractor, whenever that day comes, this is the tractor you want.
My tractor's not for sale.
It's the Barbie car.
My tractor is going to last the rest of our lifetime. Yeah. So,
well, when we die, go to the auction. Go to that auction.
No,
that day.
because this is a hand-me-down. This is a family heirloom. Okay. Just like the wood cook stove.
Okay.
Those are things that you pass down to your children.
Yeah, Mo brought up a good point. Plus, every fence row you build, another weed eating challenge.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm gonna just like leave the fence area.
A lot of it.
I'm hoping that whatever I get to put into those paddocks eats along the fence line on both sides.
Hey, Nitos, long time no talk. Let's see here. Terminator says the area where I had cows, the Timothy hay is well over 3 feet high, hoping to cut it by hand with a scythe. That's work, man. That is work. The funny thing is I would say good luck, but it's you, so be great to see the video.
You can do it.
Yeah, Skane says it's ugly when nothing's running. I literally use some scissors to cut a small place to get to the chickens without picking up a plethora of ticks on the way. Yeah, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
I've used scissors in the garden before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Tamara says, hey, zucchini. Yeah, I actually don't mind zucchini. I like it better than squash. I don't love it, but I like it better than squash. Oh my goodness, I'm so far behind.
Squash is so good.
Yeah. Dana says, bird nest is my weed eater where the battery goes. Brand new, never tried it. Don't think it's going to hatch. It's been there for at least 3 weeks. Oh my God, Dana. She's just like you. So there's a bird laid a nest. And instead of just getting rid of the nest, you leave your, oh my goodness, your weed eater hostage.
They'll be in and out soon.
Oh my goodness.
You could move.
Dana, I say this with the greatest amount of respect. I love you girls. You guys are weird freaking creatures. Like you guys are, and God love you for being compassionate and kind and all of those wonderful things, because that's important. But anyway.
I found two, not one, but two natural guinea nests up in the one in the garden number 2 and one in the food forest.
I think you should encourage them in your food forest.
Encourage the guineas to nest in there.
Yeah, because I think of all of the animals out there, the only really one that's going to help you in there is going to be a guinea.
So far, I have a plethora of bugs going on in there, so there's plenty of food for them.
Yeah, Instigator wants to know, have you seen very many ground-powered sickle bar mowers, such as which to be pulled by animals, which perhaps I could pull behind a side-by-side, just thinking outside the box? I can tell you that in July, the largest Amish auction this side of the Mississippi River, as it was described to me, goes on in Missouri, up by Jamesport, Missouri.
It's pretty cool.
We went, and I have a video on it. That's where you would find that. That's where you would see stuff like that, is right there.
You will find all kinds of
Yeah. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, guys. Yeah. Gypsy says maybe another 30 hours this year.
Maybe. Well, it's about 30 hours a year.
Yeah, the Gypsy
Thank goodness we have a skid loader.
Gypsy says, when Lou and I got married, her dad told me what's hers is hers and what's yours is hers. Yeah, it's I don't agree with all that. All right, let me see here. RN, welcome in. American Roots Farm, welcome in. Make sure I got it. Indiana Mike, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Farm Ranch Homestead, good to see you as well. See here. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to get back to the bottom again.
Scroll past all of them.
Well, babe, I can't keep up. At some point, you got to just go back to the bottom and start back at 0.
Yeah.
I love everybody. It's not intentional. It's just my attention span. So what else you got?
Well, we had Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there.
Yeah, who don't get anywhere near enough credit.
Yep.
You fathers are so important to the prosperity of a kid, and just important as to being a husband and guiding a family, and those it's a critical component. Yeah. So
yeah, thankful to have you.
And I'm thankful to have you.
And hopefully you guys had some peace in your day, and were able to do what you wanted to do, whether it be something workful or playful or restful or whatever. Hopefully you did something that you wanted to do.
Well, my boys called me for Father's Day. I told them Father's Day is every day. Thank you very much for today, but Father's Day is every day.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked to be a dad.
Yeah. This morning I got up at 5 so that we could try to, I got up at 5, try to beat the heat. I got up, I closed the windows, closed the curtains, and let you sleep so that you could have one day of restful morning, hopefully. What time did you get up?
7.
I know you left shortly.
Yeah, I got up at 7. I got up this morning when she got up early, and she was headed to, I got some pictures, but they were headed to the gardens to get the tobacco in because we're running out of planting time.
It was blooming in the greenhouse.
Yeah, so we were just hard to get to everything. You want to go be sustainable, and you want to go and produce all your own food, but the tasks of actually doing that.
Well, and then you're trying
rough.
To help other people, and you're still trying to. We got the community building going on, and we've got classes going on over there. We've got the Pod 4 going on. We've got the garden going on. We've got I'm right on top of that, Rose.
Yeah, I got up and went to Gypsy's house, and me and Gypsy hung out and
played dominoes.
No, we poked fun and had laugh and all that stuff while we worked on some gas lines, and maybe just 2 or 3 hours, something like that. Is that about right? Yeah. Anyway, whatever it was. And
I don't know. My day goes by so fast that it's like.
And then I came back and came up here and started building a live so that I could spend my Friday evening with you beautiful people.
And you've been here ever since.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. The live for me is almost a full day event.
I got up and Jess came over and we got up to the garden and weed-eated and cut some tree branches down, which I need help because we cut a really big limb off of that hedge tree. And then I cut it in half because we couldn't move it. And then even then we couldn't lift it up over the fence. So we got it over, we drug both pieces over to the fence line, but I don't want to ruin the fence. And so maybe you could help help a brother out.
Yeah, I'm happy to help you, but I would really encourage you to continue to work on your upper body strength.
It is hedge though. It's hedge. It's got freaking thorns. We could cut those branches off and actually use that. It's a pretty good log for wood. Wood.
Yeah, I got some pictures of that.
Of the log that I cut?
No, of you guys cutting and trimming the tree. The hedge tree.
Yeah, we've been trimming the mulberry tree, the cottonwood tree. We've been trimming, just kind of cleaning everything up, getting the food forest ready for Jim Gale.
We'll be
coming
here in a few days.
5th.
Yeah, a few days.
Yeah. Food forest abundance. Like, hey, let's go walk Bethany's food forest and see what's going on in there. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Terminator wants to know how freesteading is coming. I don't know. We use a third-party developer. I haven't had an update in a while, but I've been super swamped too. So I'll try to follow up. And then this one was fun too. Tag sounds like B needs a grapple for her tractor. Has one.
It's broke though. It's always broke. Like the design of the grapple with the hydraulic lines being in the way of the pinching mechanism, whatever.
Yeah, it had the tendency to, if you're not paying attention. Now, for the record, I've never blown one. Just so you know.
It blows every time somebody uses it.
Yeah. So there's that.
So the design is not so great.
Conserve friend says, look at that tan on B's arms. Oh yeah. B spends a lot of time out in the sun. She really enjoys it. When I was leaving this morning to go to Gypsy's house, I passed in the garden and the 2 peanut galleries stick their head up and wave.
Gophers.
Yeah, it's pretty much how it went. Hey, David, welcome in. Dave Strom's in the house. How exciting. Jim's amazing. Yeah, Jim will be here on the 4th and the 5th of July. We're going to have a big freedom party, and we're going to talk about, food forest and freedom and all of those things. And I'll give you guys a reminder before the live's up that it's going to go on. But I'm very excited about it.
I'm nervous.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about why you're nervous that Jim's coming?
Just because there's so much that I'm learning. First of all, I've never taken a permaculture class and I don't really know what I'm doing. I can't get a compost pile to turn to compost for anything. I've got a pile of brown over there and a pile of brown over there.
That's not true. That is so not true. You don't give yourself anywhere near enough credit.
When have I turned a compost pile into compost?
Think real hard. We had this conversation yesterday.
You're not talking about the pile that I had nothing to do with, right? You're talking about the cow poop pile?
I'm talking about...
That was not me.
Okay, so we take all the hay the cows eat, everything that's left over, we push it up into a pile and all their shit and all that stuff. And then I go in there with a skid loader and flip it around a couple times as time goes on. And she has a huge pile that's black, perfect compost and says she has no compost.
It's not a huge pile. It was a huge pile that has now just made it it just looks like a hump on the ground right now. And it does look like good dirt.
And did you know your big gigantic compost pile, if you go over there and pick it up, it's full 3/4 full of black dirt?
No, I would not.
Yeah.
Pick what will flip it for me.
I do it all the time.
Well, then why does it still look like corn husks?
Because we're always throwing stuff on it.
I haven't thrown anything on there this year, I don't think.
Yeah. Let's see here. David says he'll be super helpful. Bring a notebook. Yeah, we will. It'll be a really good time. And we even cooler.
I can't even write that fast.
Than just that. We're gonna have a good handful of our community homesteaders in that walking our food forest. And B is nervous that Jim's gonna go, what the fuck should you do that for?
Why are you doing this?
Like, guys, it's okay.
Put these two together.
It's okay. It's totally okay. This is nature. And here's the thing is if they're growing successfully next to each other, then I'd leave them be. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Instigator says compost doesn't always need turned. Sometimes it's best left alone. And
that pile has been there for like 3 years.
Tanya Jewel Williams, welcome in. Good to see you. Says I can't get compost to heat either. Yeah, I wonder how big your pile is or whatever, because it also depends on how much organic materials in it. And I'll give you an example. So like when we get wood chips from the tree companies, when they dump them here, you can walk up and lay on them and feel the heat coming out. They're so hot. But like the manure and the hay and the brush and stuff like that, it takes forever to break down enough, I think, to get very hot. In my limited experience, but
I have limited experience.
Yeah, and we were just speaking about the American Roots Farm. What's up, Jess? What's up, Joe? And Glenn Young, good to see you as well. Let's see. Yeah, Dave says you should have 2 or 3 piles going at a time. Yeah, we got like 6. So we do. So let me tell you what happens
there's
here,
like
David.
3 piles of cow poop.
Yeah, so the cows, when I go put a big round bale out there for them, we feed them through the winter. Not as much during the summer, the spring, or the fall, but pretty much in the winter. And so when we put the bale out there, they will eat it down, and they'll eat about half of it and walk on about half of it.
They waste it.
And before someone says you need a ring, I got a ring. They pull it out, they step on it, they're all over it, right? So then when that bale's about done, when I replace it, I put the new bale in another location, then we put the ring back on top of it, and then that gets all pushed up into a pile, and I clean the whole paddock number 1 kind of up and push all the poop up and everything up into a pile. And we just continue on that process. And so she's got, I don't know, 5 or 6 piles by the barn that are in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, different stages of it. And her and I was just joking. Yesterday we were out there and I'm like, how cool that is. The first pile we did when we started doing this process 4 years ago is now beautiful compost. And it's just
taken a long time. Yeah. I mean, Billy does it like in 18 days or something.
Hey, Carrie, how are you? Welcome in. Good to see you. Yeah. Tanya says she's got 2 that get alternated. You know, we hope we keep getting, smarter about it. And, homesteading is a journey, man. It's like I thought by now, when we decided we were going to go live off grid and do homesteading, that by the time I'd beat it into the 6th year, of doing it full time,
they would have a lot more
that I would know it all, but I'm learning every day. I mean, B talks about it all the time with their bees. What a great example that is that every year you learn something new. Yeah. Every year you're like, oh, that's helpful. So maybe that's a good thing that I'm still learning, but my expectations were I would have learned it a little faster.
Yeah. Well, I think it just keeps shifting too.
Yeah. Tamber says they shouldn't lay in it. Yep. Nito says exactly, Tag. If it is growing well together, leave it. No rules. Yeah, that's what I think too.
They shouldn't lay in it.
Yeah. Nobody's talking about the plants. If when you were talking about Jim saying, why'd you plant that with that? If they're growing well together, leave them be. Let nature's the ultimate decider, right? Blah blah Plum says we were wetting our mulch after putting it out today because it was literally hot to the touch. Oh my goodness. Aljo says, Tag, it's fine laying on wood chips, but not the hay and cow manure. Oh, I don't want any wood chips. No, I do want wood chips. It's not for that.
Right.
I want mulch for the gardens.
Right.
Food forest. Yeah. Yeah. All right, here we go. Carrie Davis says, call it free range gardening. I like that. Oh, hey, look at that. We have the one and the only, the infamous Lazy Loper is in the house.
Howdy.
Howdy. Yep. See, Tag and B, your trees outside look like ours. Behind us. Yeah. Blowing in the wind back there. Our land, we've got about 22 acres of woods on our land, and they're pretty dense. Anything we haven't cut into, you can hardly walk through them, but I like it that way. Hippocrates says, so far there are no food forest police as in your email. It says so far there are no food forest police. I'm glad there's no food forest police as in your email. That's the part I don't get. Hey, Kim, how are you? So Kim's Just Grateful Walk. I love that name. Welcome in. Says, don't you have to put all 3 green, brown, and poop together to make the heat with moisture? I watched a video about layering it. Yeah, I think there's definitely an art to it. And this is going to be a horrible answer, Kim, to your question. But the truth is, there's another side to all of this, which is you are racing to get everything done all the time. And so, yeah, if me and B decided to spend, hey, we're going to take today, and we're going to make that mulch perfectly layered and go do all that, we would do that. But then just that other million things of the cows and the chickens and the turkeys and the, everything that goes on, the building and the mowing and the weeding, you just get so much of it. So yes, I think you are 100% correct.
Well, I think if you do those chores in order or whatever, maybe, you mow, throw that in there. Then, well, although you would layer.
Is it kind of like pod 4?
Hey. Yeah.
Pod 4. This is all I got to say. Pod 4.
I spent at least 1 hour in there touching up black paint with a tiny little paint brush.
Okay. So here's a question for B. Let's do B trivia tonight. Okay. So B, over the last 60 days, how many hours have you spent working on pod 4?
At least 1. At least.
Mic drop. Mic drop.
Mic drop. I did work on it.
Pocket says, nope, there are many, many forms of composting. Johnson Sue is carbon only, and it keeps it moist. Takes a year. Very fungal dominant. Indoor method. Fast. Thermophilic. Soil, food, web, biocomplete, many.
There you go. I knew he would know.
Skates Girl says, Pod 4, the new episode coming soon. Oh my goodness.
Yep. I will work on it.
Someday. I don't have to remind you every 6 months, right?
No.
Okay. Isn't that like total role reversal thing going on? Layering for me came when I flipped. Add more and flip. That's pretty much what we do too. You know, we have a pile and then whatever brush or whatever we've got, it just goes on the pile and then I go flip it. And then we add to it and then I go flip it. And then we add to it and we go flip it.
Yeah.
But that's as far as layering that we have gotten. Right? Okay, what's next on your list?
Makes sense. Cleaning out the greenhouse, like I said, trying to get all of the stuff out, right? If it's not in the ground by now, it's not growing what it should be doing. Like the tobacco were in tiny little 1-inch square pods, and they were 8 inches tall, 8 inches tall, and they had some, at least one had a flower on it. So it was like, now I have 2 extra trays of tobacco because the seeds got wet and I had to just go ahead and do something with it. I put them in dirt, and now I'm like, okay, I got 2 more flats of tobacco, but they're tiny little seedlings, so I'm not super anxious to get that taken care of right this second, but there are other things that are needing to be done. Hopefully tonight after the live, I can get the watering done, because with the heat, you can't water through the day, and I didn't get them watered after we planted them, the tobacco today, and the bell peppers need to be watered also. Otherwise, I think everything else kind of looks okay. I'd like to do something with the potatoes. We got the potato bugs back. So I was like, oh, wonderful. No potato bugs. And then when we went out there today, there were adult potato bugs on the potatoes. We picked those, picked all of the eggs that we could see, went and looked at all of the melons, checked for squash beetles, found several on lots of different plants, took any eggs or adults or whatever, any live animal, any live pest that we could see. Between the squash bugs and the potato bugs, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Hey, I want to first bird's eye view. Welcome in. I want to tell you guys something. I want to, both of these. I want to tell you guys how just absolutely proud I am of you that you're where you are.
Moving day.
Yeah, it is gigantic. But if for those of you who know the entire story and have followed the story, it's been a lot and it's wonderful. And
that's exciting. They
might have done the best job of any homesteader I've ever seen at priorities. They were very priority focused. And that was really smart.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could be that way. I ain't wired like that, but that was super impressive, and super proud of you guys. And it's going to be great to see you guys take the next steps. Some will come easy and some will be full of fear. And I don't know what the hell I'm doing, whatever, but super, super proud of you guys. So I just say it. Let's see here. Glenn Young says, I scraped topsoil into a huge row pile, basically weeds and roots. I just keep rolling it and letting it rot. Looks like good compost. I like that. Yeah. Mo says, do you shade your greenhouse? I just put up 30% shade cloth on mine. We never have, Mo. But I do have the shade cloth if B decides she needs to do it.
I have 3 clotheslines in the greenhouse that I pull a blanket, a sheet across to try to shade some of it. But otherwise, I would eventually, I think that putting a shade cloth over the greenhouse would be a fantastic idea, because especially like today when it's so hot out, that it would help to not heat that so much. Also not heat the house so much too.
Kent wants to know, what do you use your tobacco for?
What I have is the white calf buffalo woman, and it is a ceremonial tobacco. Mine grows like 1 foot tall to where some of the others are up to 5 feet tall. I am going to try to use it for wormer. I might try to see if somebody wants to smoke it. I don't know. I'm not a tobacco smoker, so I would like to see if somebody would like to smoke it and see if it tastes like, I don't know, a cigarette, or if it's smokable, like that kind of smokable.
RN says, tag and be, enjoy your youth while you have it. You are both still young. Yeah, I know. And I think about getting older all the time. I do.
I try not to.
I think about what do I do today to make it easier when I'm older? You know what? Because now I want to, whatever the hardest work that's left in this process, I want to do that tomorrow.
Get it done.
Right. And hey, no live is complete without
a pack rat.
That's right. Pack rat, welcome in and goodbye. I hope work goes great for you. I wish you great success. Let me see. Tamara says the shade cloth reduced the heat 10 degrees in the high tunnel. Yeah, pretty cool. She said it was 40% shade cloth. All right, cool. What else you got, bud?
10 degrees. That's not a lot, though. I would assume it would be a lot more than that. So anyway, potato bugs. I'm going to spray the potato bugs. I'm finally going to go ahead and break down and do something about those, because the potatoes, the plants are actually starting to struggle now. So I think it's just time to break down and do it. I've been picking them off. So sometimes, and I'm not going to go to like something crazy. I'm going to start with something, a neem oil, or I don't know, something else. Maybe I'm going to do some research and see what I have, and then I'll go from there. Let's see what else. Oh, cows. You want to talk about cows?
I've got a picture.
About what? Which part of the cows?
Both events. Because
all of the cows.
There was quite. Yeah, we've had a lot of cow events this week.
Okay, so I will skip that.
Skip that.
Lockdown for I have some birds in the incubator right now, and I thought that lockdown was supposed to be today, and I was told that there was a noise coming from the incubator, and I'm like, no, that can't be, because they're not even on lockdown. They're not even in a basket. They're just on the rocker. They can't. And I was told, yeah, there's something going on in the incubator. So I ran over there, and there was a bird on the bottom of the incubator. So
a guinea.
It had hatched on the rack, fallen off of the rack down onto the bottom of the incubator, and was just sitting there like stunned. Hurried up and got him out and put him in the brooder.
And now they're hatching. He
was half dry. No, they're not hatching, because today is supposed to be lockdown. So like it never fails that, one tries to do its own thing. So that bird was a day early, at least a day early.
Hey, we got to say hello.
Becky, back. Hi.
What's going on?
I miss you.
Yep. I hope everything is great with you. I hope you're living your very best life. Yep. Tell that boy we said hello. Glenn says, I would like to grow tobacco for my pipe, and if the shit ever hits the fan. Both great solutions. Yep. Yeah. We'd love to have you try some that Bee's growing. Right? Hey, Helen, welcome in. Good to see you. Let's see here. Tanya says, I pick off potato bugs twice a day. Yep.
Yeah. And eggs. And
Have you seen very many Japanese beetles yet?
I've seen like 2 or 3.
So not a lot. Not enough to put the traps out.
Yet.
Yeah. Carrie Davis said, Amen. I'm 65 this year. My husband turns 70 next week. Enjoy your youth. We are going to enjoy it the best we can. I would have never, and this is a compliment. I hope you take this as a compliment. I would not have guessed you were that old.
That's what I was going to say.
I wouldn't have, because if you guys, anybody's been following this channel for a while knows that there have been some fun exchanges between Gary and me, and, mainly in defense of B most of the time. But anyway, very quick, very sharp, very witty, very, all those things. So that surprises me, but that's a compliment to you. Let's see here. Bird's eye. Oh, sorry. I missed one I wanted to do from bird's eye view up here somewhere. That's it right there. I had it up there already. Oh my goodness. She was talking to Skanes, but said, I'll be ready to help others more and learn. Yeah, it's a constant learning process, you know.
Yeah.
And I think I know you know this, and you're already wired like this. But at the end of the day, just compete against yourself. You know, everyone's at a totally different stage in their journey, and you know you're miles ahead of a lot of people in a lot of ways, and miles behind in other ways. You know, and just compete against yourself and be the very best version of what you are. And I think that if everybody did that, we'd be in good shape. Leela, good to see you.
True.
Yeah, 100%. Becky says everything is awesome. He is in the USA right now for 5 weeks. Oh, cool.
Nice.
Cool. The beautiful MJ from Wisconsin is in the house. Good to see you. Oh my goodness, I've lost track here. Jess says we pick squash bugs too. Lots of eggs, a few beetles. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Hopefully we got to them, right?
Yeah, we're trying to get ahead of the eggs before they hatched.
Yep. Depending on when you planted potatoes and what variety your potatoes might be about ready to harvest and not struggling because of bugs.
True. And there were some that we did when we were pulling weeds out. Some of the potatoes were unearthed.
They're still pretty little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them were unearthed, and we were able to collect a few for, a meal.
Yeah, Skane's girl, and I know they're talking amongst each other, but I just brought this up because this is the perfect comment. You know, she's talking to Bird's Eye View, and she says, the more you learn, the more you can teach me. That is the perfect attitude to have, you know, because nobody can be an expert in everything, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I would argue nobody can be an expert in anything.
And that is how you do it.
Exactly
we go around and we teach others, and then they learn, and then they teach others, and then they learn. And it's a perpetual learning environment.
RN has a question for you.
Have y'all tried making homemade yogurt? We have.
Homemade what?
Yogurt. Yogurt. We have, and it's so much better than store-bought. I have not made it. I've eaten other people's homemade who have made it, but that is something that I would like to do.
Yeah, that's a Yoda and a lot of people's, but Yoda, the Ambers, right? American Roots. That's all way up their alleys too. You know, people who love to cook.
Jen.
Oh, that's another one. Yep, Jen. Which I haven't seen them here tonight. Anyway, what else you got, bud?
Well,
pictures of what you worked on.
I set an alarm to add chickens to the incubator. I'm on a every 2-week schedule, seems like. So I got a batch in the top shelf, and then I will bring it down to the bottom shelf when it's time to rotate, I guess. And so about every 2 weeks, I'm flipping those around and then adding to the top. And then 2 weeks, it's time to hatch.
So you just have a constant barrage.
It's a constant rotating thing. Right now, there's on lockdown are 3 turkey eggs, 9 guinea eggs, and 12 chicken eggs. And then on the top rack, I have, I think 9 turkey eggs. And I was supposed to have added chicken eggs on Sunday. And I even set an alarm that said, add chicken eggs today. And then I remember you saying it was on the calendar to add chicken eggs. And then I saw it today, which was 5 days later. And I didn't add the chicken eggs back on Sunday. So I missed out on that hatch round. Yeah. I mean, I've got 9 turkey eggs, but it's not a full
batch.
Brood batch.
How many can you put in that incubator at a time?
It depends on how big the eggs are, because
give us a guess.
on the turkey eggs, most of them I can only fit 4 on a bar because they're so wide.
So chicken eggs.
But I can fit 9 guinea eggs on the rack. So
maybe 7. And how many rows are there?
About 6 chicken eggs.
And how many rows?
6 or 7.
Okay. So you can put 42 and you got 2 rows.
About.
Which is 84 eggs at a time.
Something.
Okay.
You do math.
Hey, Rabbit Coyote, what's going on? Good to see you. All right, ready for pictures?
Sure.
Some of the stuff that's going on? You took this picture.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful? The sky was just like it's like swirled. These clouds were like swirled. They were like, I thought it looked beautiful.
Yeah, as the sun's going down, right?
And it was pink and orange and blue and all the purples, and you can't really tell in that.
Yeah, pretty cool.
But yeah, it looks beautiful.
Why don't you explain both of those?
This is the hay. We were
Why don't you start
moving.
like you read a book.
Well, the hay comes first, and then the cows come second. Cows right here. We have had moved. Jeff and Louise came over to babysit for us.
Mm-hmm.
They take our cows and take them home with them, and they feed them and love them and breed them, and then bring them back all breaded
and fat.
Yeah. So they go over there and they eat all the luscious grass, and they have fun with their so like Lady's mom is over there, and Moo's calf from last year is over there, and
Camus.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and many brothers and sisters.
Yep,
and aunts and uncles.
Lots of
nieces and nephews.
And I'm sure that Moo remembers Hippie, and wants to go back and say hi. So they go over there and they spend a few months eating and entertaining, and then they come back for the winter time.
Yeah, so we officially have no cows on our property right now.
Yep.
Both mamas, both babies, and the steer went to the land of flowing grass, and they'll be there for till August. Is that right?
Bull semen. Yeah.
Yeah, as B said, the roaring grass and bull semen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I think Moo was the easiest to load. She basically walked right in. We put her baby in there and some food, and she was like, "Hey, those are my things." And so she basically walked right up there and got right in. Who do you think was the hardest to load? Lady. That's what I was thinking too. She was like, "I don't want to get in, guys."
Yeah, the rest of them, it just wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm. Freeman, he just walked right in too.
Yeah. The cows are observed talking amongst themselves. Why don't our people feed us? And like magic, bales appear, and the cows were happy, and all was right in the world.
All was right in the world.
Yep.
So right when we got rid of the cows to go to greener pastures, basically, we brought some hay home.
Yeah, there's a whole lot bigger story to that. So this hay is not 2024's, but 2023 hay.
Yeah.
Right. And there's
CRP
126 bales.
Mm-hmm.
And the farmer, after talking a little bit, B had more to do with it than anything, but was gifted to us. And so I called another homesteader who has this need and said, "Hey, you want to help me haul it?" And so we spent 10 hours and moved 62 or 64 bales, something like that. So about half of it. We got home.
One day.
Yeah, in one day. And so some of it is still pretty okay to feed. Some of it is going to be mulch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
the food forest will love it. And the cows will love it.
Right. And
this will give us food for the cows for, this next winter. So.
Yeah. Really, really, really cool gig. And I'm sure it will, by the time it's over, it will bless many of Homesteads, right? Before it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Which is really pretty cool. So that's me in the skid loader.
Unloading.
And it was a long day. Probably more for some than others.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I was in the food forest that day, just cleaning things up. Yeah. Weed eating.
Does anybody see anything absolutely amazing in this picture? Because there's something in this picture that I find absolutely amazing. You don't guess. I want to see if they'll guess. My guess. This is be out in one of the gardens, so not the food forest, and you're planting tobacco. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool. Can't guess.
You want me to guess?
Yeah, what do you think that I find amazing about that?
That I'm using a kitchen knife? That I'm wearing your dress shirt?
Yes, so that shirt that she's wearing to keep the sun off.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, is from my corporate days, and it's actually probably logoed with a company.
Yeah,
right?
it's like a company
logo on
embroidered on it
on the sleeve. And
That's a dress shirt.
she's put in good use.
And you know what?
Huh?
I think I remember. So when I was like, hey, talking to the accountant, and I'm like, he wants to deduct his suits. And the accountant is like, you cannot deduct your suits because you can wear them other places. And he's like, they're embroidered with the company logo. Where am I going to wear them to church? And he was like, well, yeah, you can wear them to mow the yard in. And he goes, wear my company suits with their logo embroidered on them to mow the yard. And the accountant was like, but you could wear them to mow the yard. And I'm like thinking, I could wear them to garden and do them. Yeah, I was pulling a tote out of the shipping container, and I was like, I really want to use this tote for something else. And I was like, what is this? And I pulled it out, and I'm like, hey, I could wear this shirt. So like my back is so brown. I am not looking for any more tan, any more coloring on it. And it's hot. So I put this white dress shirt on, and it just keeps the sun off. It's real light weight material. It's wrinkle resistant.
Hey, I want to welcome Nurse Wang in. Good to see you. Skanes Girl says, I wear men's dress shirts when I'm mowing and working outside too.
I've never thought about that, but just brought a shirt over that was Joe's.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, what is that? That's so soft. And she goes, it's a dress shirt he won't wear. And I'm like, what a great idea. And then I just so happened to find a whole stack of them and went, oh, I'm going to pull those out. There were a couple of dark blue ones that I was like, I'm not going to wear dark blue in the garden. The white ones, on the other hand, they are lighter.
Yeah, Rabbit Cody said we had a feels like 103 day, loving it.
Yeah.
Carrie says fashion in the garden. Dana says I wear flannels. Mo, who also left the corporate world over the same type of BS, says I wear my old company logo clothes to do the worst jobs like changing oil.
Yeah. Oh, you could like wipe the oil dipper off with it.
Yeah, Glenn says good for sun and mosquitoes, and RN says mosquitoes love white material.
Oh, well, right here, it's first thing in the morning. We weren't really battling mosquitoes yet. It was more of a sun problem.
Rabbit Cody says I don't wear no stinking shirt when I'm in the garden. I want a tan, man.
Yeah. I have a tan, and then I also have blisters showing up. Like I literally have blisters on my lower back that are
Indiana says you need a bigger hat.
I do.
You have one.
You know what? My hat, since I have glasses, these like wings on the back of my glasses hit the hat, and so it gives me a headache. The back of these right here. Hey, yours are folded down. Feel mine. Mine go up. Yours are like flattened up against your head.
Well, it's because you're vice chairman of the Tiny Head Committee.
It is not. Mine like flare out. That's weird.
The things we discover.
Huh.
What about this? What's going on here?
We are planting in the blue shirt, that's the tobacco. We're planting the tobacco in the onions. And then the picture on the right, we were
And you're in the food forest on the right and in the garden.
We were pulling the potatoes off the potato bugs off the potato mound. That's the potato mound behind her.
Yeah, a healthy population of dragonflies will take care of mosquitoes. This is true. Yeah, Tamara Smith says tan legs don't look as fat. Yeah. Let me see here. And Dana says, spent a lot of time in the kitchen, love cooking, so I work in kitchens a lot. Too hot. Yeah. RN says, I found when I wear my boonie hat, it works better at keeping you cool if you wet it in cool water before you put it on. Yeah, there's a lot of times when I'm out there and it's hot, I'll go get the hose and hose my back down, you know. And to keep working.
Yeah, this hat that she has, it has like a flap on the back of the neck, I guess, that you could like fold down and it will keep your neck shaded.
Nito says, laugh out loud, B. I have the same problem. Small head and large bone behind my ear. Gets painful. Well, I think between Jess from American Roots and B, they are chairman and vice chairman of the Tiny Head Committee. I think you might have another board member here. And pretty quick, you guys could have the Tiny Head board. That'd be pretty cool, huh?
Maybe we could
you change the world.
Maybe we can find some stuff that actually fit us.
Yep. Kim, just grateful walk says, B, yes, those work for so much. I used them in art class when I was in high school. Our teacher made them. He also left the corporate world back then and became a teacher. Fine arts. Oh, excellent. I love art.
Yeah, those long sleeve shirts are good for art too, because you could button them up backwards and the kids can get in them and not get their clothes all yucky.
Dana said, I made, what that is?
Focaccia.
I would say the end's a Sia. Last night, and it was good. We don't forget. We almost missed another potential board member for the Tiny Head Committee. That's right.
Oh, you know what I found out about her?
Huh.
She likes to roller skate.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. There's some, like 1994 World Roller Skating Champion story behind the scenes we all need to know about. Maybe.
We'll have to ask. We'll have to ask for pictures.
Yeah, Carrie says, my mom at 84 jumps in the pool with her clothes on and all when she mows. Oh, yeah.
Because it's hot.
Yeah. When we get into July and in August, when it's unbearable here, there's times I have drove the lawnmower and stopped and ran and jumped in the pond and then got out and went back to what I was doing because it was so freaking hot.
I will not do that.
I will. Now, I don't know what this plant was you sent over.
Those are potatoes.
What are the balls?
My potatoes have balls.
No, that's a weed growing in there.
Dude, it is not.
They're potato
balls. My potatoes have balls.
Yeah. Well.
They're manly potatoes.
So.
I like them baldy.
You guys have officially seen B's potato balls, right?
Who else's potatoes have balls? I want to know if yours are bally.
I have never seen, we've been growing potatoes for years. I have never seen balls like that on.
I Googled it. Those, my friend, are my potato balls.
Bird's Eye View says, I skate really good backwards too. Yeah, there's some, at least state champion roller skate story we can make up and spread rumors about,
She's got skills.
She's got skills. Yeah, Dana says, faux kacha.
Kacha.
Got it. Very good.
That's a fake kacha.
Yeah, Cameron says, I can still roller skate. I just can't stop.
Just if you go next to the grass, you could just jump in the grass.
Or better yet, Tambra, you need to be skating with Bird's Eye View, because then
I don't think she'll stop her.
She could be the brakes. She says she can skate great backwards. The perfect mate.
She's not gonna stop her. She said I can go backwards.
Nina said I have a hard time finding extra small women's glasses and have at time worn little girls.
See, somebody else said that too. And
I know.
I was like,
I know.
I should think about that.
Yeah.
Are they cheaper?
Dana says it's Italian bumpy bread with herbs.
Ooh.
That sounds good.
I've been digging some bread lately.
Let's see here. I'm fortunate enough to live where I don't have to worry about that clothing option when I'm in my garden. Gotta love that. Great for you. Bird's Eye View says, anyone in the Tiny Hand Club, not me. Nope. You know what they say? Nope.
I don't. I've never been told I have tiny hands. Look at this in my finger.
Yeah, apparently Skane's girl can be in the Tiny Hands Club. Mo says, potato mountain oysters, anyone?
No.
Oh, I could have so much fun with so much of that. So inappropriate, probably, but would still be fun. What else? The other picture is just the potato row, which is inside the food forest. You can see the community building there in the background.
Yeah, and it looks great. The potato row looks great.
Yep.
We're gonna have some potatoes,
which is super cool,
even if
right?
it's just one meal. It's still food.
Lisa says, my potatoes have balls. I harvest the seeds out of them and sometimes plant them, even though it isn't practical. It takes years. Interesting. That's how I got recruited, helping my dad do mechanic work. I can reach places others cannot.
Oh,
Tiny hands.
baby hands.
That's right. So we can have a tiny head, tiny hands club.
Yeah.
Yeah. Call it like the ladies of the camouflage hat. How ladies wear the colored hats, and you have no idea what I'm talking about.
No. Are you talking about the derby? What colored hats?
No, like often it's like the red hat club, and it's like the.
Oh, those are old people.
I know. You guys can all form the camouflage hat, and the rules are you have to have tiny hands or heads.
Huh. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wonderful. All right. Look at there. B with the chainsaw. Whose chainsaw is that?
That's my Milwaukee
Oh, is it?
chainsaw.
Okay.
That doesn't even look like me.
It's because you're working.
When am I not working?
Yep. On vacation. 100% on vacation.
Yeah, I was trying to cut.
Is this the branch you can't pick up?
Yes.
All right, that's fair. That's gonna be a pretty heavy branch.
That is in an end.
If you'd
massive.
have cut it in two, you'd pick it up easy.
I did cut it in two.
I know, that's why I said that. Yeah, let's see here. Oh, Tulip Little Angel, how are you? Says Tiny Hands Club here. Hello, everyone. Dana Green says, I have extra large hands. Yeah, I have extra large hands too, no matter, nobody tells you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's weird. What happened to my other picture? Same tree. So anyway, they had to trim that hedge.
Yeah, that was the branches off of there.
Oh, look at that.
Those are my grapes.
Those are Concords, right? I think those are Concords.
I don't know. There's quite a few that are graping right now.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I took this picture. So I'm pretty sure those were in the Concord row.
Okay.
I think. Aren't those beautiful, everybody?
Yeah, they look great. Yep. Is that the same picture?
That's a different picture. Yeah, pretty cool. I've never seen a bird like that, have you?
With a real long tail?
And a white head like that, white back. It pulled up next to me when I was pulling into the house. And I'm like, that is really, I just took the picture out the window.
That is not the bird that's letting me touch it.
Tell that story. That's weird.
We have baby birds somewhere in the yard. And they come up and they sit on the fence of the orchard. And when I was in there mowing, I came up and there were 3 sitting on the fence, and 2 of them flew away and 1 sat there, and it just turned and it looked at me, and I reached up and I petted its back, and it just sat there and let me. And I drove away.
Yep, good way to build. Good way to build trust, right?
I'm the original Snow White over here.
Clearly. Yeah.
Scissortail.
You sleep like her. Camber Smith says Scissortail. Yeah, I just don't think I'd ever seen that bird on my property before, which is why I took a picture.
It is pretty.
Yeah, Rabbit Cody says my Concords and Catabuzz, hope I said that right, are doing great this year. Yeah, Rabbit says it looks like a magpie. And maybe that we've had them, but I've just never seen one. I have Merlin, a cool app that identifies bird sounds. You have one that does that, don't you?
Yeah, Merlin.
Yeah. You have Merlin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I do like it.
Yeah. I have a large limb that fell out of a cottonwood next to the house. I have cut it up and cleaned up. I wish the wind would stop so I can get caught up. Yeah. Yeah. I wish that's always true. It's either raining, too hot, too something, too this, too that, right? But pretty cool either way. What is going on here?
Oh, yeah, we're having a party.
I took these 3 pictures and I just thought they were hilarious. Pockety says, if it's a scissortail, name it Edward. Edward Scissortails.
Edward Scissortail. Edward. I love that.
Hey, Amy B. Welcome in, buddy. How are you? Good to see you. Yep. So here's B driving around with unicorns and floaties in the back of her Jeep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had to get from point A to point B.
We had a bunch of kids out at the house to swim, and
they weren't all kids.
Yeah, and they swam for hours and hours and hours.
Well, our kids,
yeah. And there'll be some coming out tomorrow to swim too. But The pond's a big, deep, cool pond. Nothing in it that'll hurt you, so it gets lots of recreation out there. And so that was just me taking all of the floaties back. But I just thought it was fun that it was what it was. But all right, do you want to tell the other story about your cow?
Oh yeah, this is late at night.
This was horrible.
We're sitting here. So I went to do chores and I saw Moo running from like over towards the barn. She was running and I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I went and did my chores. And then I was going back towards the barn, the cow barn, and they weren't over there. And they usually are. And so I thought, oh wow, that's a weird, I could hear something like that's a weird bullfrog. That's a really weird bullfrog. And as I was walking closer and closer towards the cow barn, I was like, wait, that's not a bullfrog. What is that? I started walking over towards where that noise was coming from. And I realized that that was Moo making this noise and her tongue was sticking out of her mouth and she was foaming at the mouth. And it seemed to me like she was choking. So I called Tag, and of course I had like 9% on my battery on my phone. So I call Tag, I'm like 911, the Moo is choking, something's wrong, need help. He's like, oh man, okay, on my way. So I call my first cow person and she says, oh man, I've never had a cow choke on anything. I really don't know what to tell you, except for no matter what you do, don't put your hands in its mouth. And I was like, oh gosh, I mean, I was getting ready to do that. Like I just reach in there and grab whatever is going to be in there. And she goes, no, don't do that because the back molars are very sharp and a lot of farmers end up missing a digit after they try to stick their hand down in there. So don't do that. And so then I get off the phone with her, call another person. They're like, I have never had anything like that. Call this other person. So I call another person. And then I'm texting another person, or first called Lou. And I'm like, what do I do? And she's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. But I'm on my way. And so she comes, even though she's like, dude, I don't know what I can do, but like, I'm here. And then I call Doug, and Doug says, well, what is going on? And I told him, and he goes, is she foaming at the mouth? And I said, yes. And he says, well, do you have a tube that's about a 1 inch in diameter, stiff tube? And I'm like, no, I don't have anything like that. And because he says a garden hose won't be good. It has to be a stiffer tube. And so he says, I can run out to the farm, but it's going to be another 30 minutes. And I call the vet, and the vet says, my vet says, call the online number because we're not open. And I'm like, shoot, because I called their cell phone. I don't know why I called her cell phone, but she's like, she answered and said, like, we're not on duty. It's nighttime. And so she says, call the after hours number. So I called the after hours number, and that vet was like, well, where is that? 45 minutes away. He says, I'm like, I can be there in like an hour and a half, but if you load her up and bring her to me, then I could see her in like, 45 minutes. And I'm like, she is choking. Like she's, at first when I called my regular vet, she goes, well, is she choking on a hairball? And I'm like, I don't know, a hairball? Is that a possibility? And she goes, well, like, yeah, they're long haired. And I'm like, well, no, I wouldn't say she's long haired. And I'm like, I didn't realize cows can get hairballs. And she goes, did you say cow? And I said, yes, I have a cow that's choking. And she goes, I thought you said cat. And I was like, okay, so can a cow get a hairball? And she's like, no, probably not. And that's when she was like, call the after hours number. So then the after hours number was like, yeah, sorry. Like, I don't think I can help you. If she's choking, like, you're not going to get her to me in time. And I'm not going to get to you in time. And I'm like, all right, thanks. Bye. So then I start after I called the vet is when I start calling like my people. And
Hey,
that's when Doug.
Zach from Unique Prepping's here. Good to see you, buddy. Just so that I say hello. And Instigator. Sorry, it flew by. I got to tell you though, important. He said you should have done the cowlick maneuver instead of the Heimlich. That would have made it all better.
Well, when Jeff and Louise got there, they were like, we were like would bang here, bop, 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 bang here, bop, 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 rub this, blah, 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 blah. So when by the time Louise got there, we had between Tag and I, we got the cow from the pasture into paddock 1, but we could not get her into her stall. And then when Lou got there, we had 2 more arms and we were able to.
Lou and Jeff.
Yeah.
You can't forget the king. King is
right.
really important.
Well, the king
he
just
supervised
kind of
the whole thing.
Pointed.
He's a caveman king. He's a caveman king.
No, I'm just teasing. He's actually a lot of help. Anyway, he, we got things moved around, and with more arms, we were able to get her into the stall, which then allowed us to. He wanted to tube her, and so we had to isolate her. And he's like, "Do you have a head gate, something we can, strap her down? She's not going to like this." And we're like, "Oh no, I don't know, no, not really." So this was our best bet, getting her in a stall. And then so it was about an hour, and Doug got here, and by the time he got here, he says, "Wow, she's actually breathing a lot better." And we had been banging and rubbing on her chest and her throat and she was lifting, like she would lift her neck and she would burp, and it would smell so bad. And then she, we would get her to walk a little bit farther, and she would try to lift her head up real high, and she would burp. And so, every little bit of that, I think, was allowing her to breathe a little bit better. We ended up not having to tube her. By the time Doug got there and assessed it, her breathing had improved significantly, and we were able to just let her out. And
an hour later, it seemed like it was normal.
Keep track of her.
Yeah, we have no idea what happened, but when I seen her tongue was hanging out of her mouth 10 inches. Foam at the mouth. It was.
We think that she ate something that because our paddock 1 was so. Paddock 1 was so eaten through, and then paddock 2 was basically eaten through. We had started letting them out into the whole 40 acres, and they would just make rounds, I guess, around, around the 40 acres. They would just go in these big circles, like just roaming, eating. And so I think that she got into something.
That's what B does in the kitchen.
And she panicked and she started running back and forth. And then I heard her, and we isolated her and started, rubbing and banging and calling for reinforcements. And
the good news is she's okay.
And it panned out to be okay.
Yeah, just a late night.
A long night. Yeah.
That was it. But anyway, pretty cool.
Thankfully.
Yep. Guys, before we get on to the good news, I want to make sure I remind everybody that July the 5th from 2 to 11 o'clock, we're going to have the Freedom Fest and do barbecue and do fireworks. And have the Homestead Olympics, which is going to be fun to see how that all comes together and, how that builds. But it will be super exciting to hang out, listen to music, eat, watch fireworks, swim, whatever's on the plate.
Yep.
And also super important, we'll have Jim Gale the whole time. And we'll walk a food forest, and we'll listen to Jim talk about his, journey to find freedom, and, why permaculture matters and why it all begins with food.
Yeah.
And it'll be a great experience. And I think all of us who were there will come out of it a tiny bit smarter than we were when we walked in there.
Hopefully somebody learns something.
And I think that by itself will be really, 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 really cool. What do you think?
I think that will be really, 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 really cool.
Yep. You looking forward to it?
Yes.
Except everybody walking through your food forest?
No, I'm looking forward to it. It's just nerve-wracking because I feel like I should be. There's so much.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much.
Are you proud of your efforts?
Yeah, I am.
That's all there is, babe.
That's
all there is. And if, you tell me how many other people, and there's some out there, I know some.
Oh, yeah.
But in 5 years can take a blank piece of land and build a house and barns and community buildings and all food forests and all the things that we've done. You should be very proud of yourself, and and the thing is, try to come out of that with learning a whole bunch,
right.
Both from what you should be growing, but also, an efficiency issue.
And efficiency
issue. Yeah. So I think that would be pretty cool. What do you think?
Yeah.
Should we get to some good news?
Sure. I hope you have some.
I do. And actually, I'm going to go at it a little bit different tonight than I normally do. Normally what I do is I take all of the news clippings and I lump them together. What I mean by that is like any news that comes out of Iran, for example, right? I would just put into an Iran slide or 2 or 3 or 4. Hey, Stan Guthrie, welcome in. And I just put all that stuff together. And so I sort it all by topic. But there's so much going on in the world today that I thought I'd make a run at packaging it by day.
By day?
What happened Monday? What happened Tuesday? What happened Wednesday? What happened Thursday? Because there's so much of it. And it's fascinating to me to see stories change and, alliances change and, those kind of things over such a short period of time.
In just a week?
In just a week.
Okay.
So I thought it would be...
see what you got.
Yeah. And so I thought maybe we'll go through it that way. You guys have to let me know if you like that format or not, because I could easily go back to the other one. It was just, one of those things, a new way. Let me see here.
A new way, so bad news first.
A new way, so bad news first this time. No, it's all good news, Mo. It's all good news because and you are a long ways ahead, right? And how wonderful is that? Yeah. So anyway, let's see here. We're going to start with Monday. Before we get to Monday, though, I want to remind you guys a couple things because it matters as we go through all of these slides. Don't forget in 2007 that General Wesley Clark said that the American strategy after the 9/11 attacks was going to take out 7 countries in 5 years. Their goal was to do regime change in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, finishing off with Iran. And you know what all of those countries have in common except Iran? They've done regime change in. The only country that of the 7 that they have not accomplished this goal in is Iran.
So now they're going to.
Well, I don't know.
One way or another.
I don't know. But I mean, I think you could absolutely make the argument that it was a coincidence. What do you think? You believe in coincidences? Oh, shoot. I need to go back to the other way because... Oops, not that one. That one. I want to read the other one. And then also don't forget on March the 26th of 2005, so just earlier this year.
2005?
In 2025, sorry. The United States intelligence community continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and the Supreme Leader Khomeini has not authorized the nuclear weapon program that he suspended in 2003, signed the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Just remember that happened. And then also another little piece of information I want you to keep in mind as we go through all of the stuff, and does it make sense, is that China and Iran rail links, that they have been working on, plays a big role in this. Just days after China and Iran launched a direct overland trade route that bypasses the U.S. naval power and sanctions enforcement, Israeli struck Iranian targets. The message is unmistakable. Washington and its allies are rattled. A new rail line, part of the $400 billion pact under the China's Belt and Road Initiative, which I'm sure all you guys have heard of, right, connects Xinjiang to Tehran in 15 days, slashing delivery times and avoiding choke points like the Straits of Hormuz and the Suez Canal. no U.S. warships, no surveillance, and no sanctions enforcement, which is what's really important, right? This is about creating free trade between the two countries. While Washington scrambles to blacklist Chinese and Iranian firms in India and India's U.S. aligned Shabar, I don't know how to say that, Shabahar, ambition stagnate. Beijing and Tehran are laying what Iranian officials call the steel arteries of independence. And I think this is really, really important to know that you've got, and this is all really about getting away from the dollar, getting away from sanctions, getting away from the U.S. pressures, right? They're building their own counter economy or parallel economy that we talk about on this channel all the time. They're just doing it.
Yeah.
Right out from underneath the system.
From underneath the U.S.
The system, the world system, because it's not really U.S. anymore. It's a big global system. It's very interlinked. So it's really getting out from underneath the West.
Yeah.
It's the East doing their own thing. Make sense?
Yeah.
So I just think it's important that we remember this. Dana Green says, I remember first Bush stating that in a speech at the beginning of the Iraq War in 90. Yeah, which you could go into a whole deep thing about that, right? And then follow that from 1990 up to 9/11. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? A couple things I found interesting. So on Monday, betting activity is ramping up as speculation grows over potential U.S. military actions against Iran before July. On Polymarket, as odds have climbed to 70%, signaling a surge in public belief that the confrontation may be imminent. Why is this important? Do you think, babe? You have any idea?
I have no idea.
Because this is what drives markets, right? This is when they talk about betting, they're talking about making money, right? So you're going to play, you're going to short a stock. You're going to, there's all kinds of things you would buy or sell based upon whether or not this was true,
right?
Because you would assume oil prices would go up, for example. So if I thought oil prices were going to go up, and we just did it,
right?
Fill the tanks. Right, Israel's bombing Iran. One of the things we want to go do. Well, let's make sure all the big tanks are full.
Right.
Right. I mean, so we're not the only ones, just at a much smaller scale. While it was actually on air, Israel bombed Iran's top news station headquarters yesterday. So this lady was talking on air when they hit the building, and everything kind of went black, and you see her being
reported out,
kind of rushed off. Yep. So. And then obviously Iran responded by bombing the script writing headquarters of the Western mainstream media outlets and Mossad headquarters and IDF units 8200. But you guys know bombs are going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I think it's interesting that it's being bet on that U.S. joins the war and where the money is, right? They always say, follow the money. You ever heard that term?
Yep.
Right. Follow the money. Well, what we're doing is following the money. And that's what it is definitely indicating that, which we'll talk a lot about that. General Mike Flynn is begging that we don't, right? So he says we have to let Israel finish the job, which will allow the U.S. to fully focus on the CCP. So remember, we talked about earlier about the initiative between Iran and China, right? The CCP is China. So you know, babe. So what he's saying is we need to allow Israel to do its job in Iran. And this would go deeper. He would also say, I would imagine, to let Europe deal with the Ukraine, so that the United States could go focus their efforts on China. Which, what does that say, you guys? That's World War III. That's what that is. Now, and this is what's so interesting to me about this comment is he is arguing counter to Trump right now. And it ends in World War III. I think this is absolutely crazy and terrifying at the same time. Let's see, the Turkish president, Erdogan said, we are now planning missile production to raise our medium and large range stockpiles to a credible deterrent level. That's a big statement too. What he's saying is we don't have a big enough military. And so you guys know Turkey is one of the biggest militaries in Europe. They're in that whole area down there. They're pretty big, pretty tough military. But he's saying it's not sufficient and that they need to continue to ramp up, which creates an arms race. And if you guys remember back before the Cold War, that's what was going on, right? You had these big arm races, that were going on. Hillary Clinton's plea to China on Monday, she says, since Russia is clearly backing the Republicans, why don't we ask China to back us, in reference to the Democrats? China, if you're listening, why don't you get Trump's tax returns? I'm sure our media would richly reward you.
Wow.
Tell me how a former Secretary of State gets away with that statement. Talk about divide. And you guys, I've said all along, and you guys know that I'm not a big Trump fan, but kind of feel sorry for the guy, and just from the perspective of he's fighting half of his own country and mostly the rest of the world, all at the exact same time, you know? And so, yeah, what a mess. Let's see here. I don't even know where I'm at. We'll just start right there. Tulsi refined the statement today: building or built a nuke is different from building the components. Now, there's still a lot that goes on there. And then I've got more slides as the week went on and some of the spats, you know, that kind of went back and forth. Yep, Hippocrates said the goal of the war is not to win, but for it to continue. And, you know, just like we were talking about you guys last week on the live, if Tom caught Jerry and killed Jerry in the Tom and Jerry series, the show would be over. And I agree 100% with what Hippocrates is saying. The goal is not for Tom to catch Jerry. The goal is for him to fall just short, and so they can have another episode the next week. Yeah, Dana says, I think there's no avoiding World War III. Yeah, Rabid Coyote, 100%. It's already started. It started a while ago, right? Yeah. Let's see. Rapid Coyote says Trump just uses the system of taxes that is in place, just like every other rich person in the country. I don't have any problem with that. There's other things I have big problems with, but your point, I have no problems with whatsoever. My prediction, Jerry will be alive in 2 weeks. Yeah. And I could make a fair argument that Jerry will be alive in 2 weeks. Yeah, which is crazy. They are reporting, though, Fox News in many places, that Trump is seriously considering a U.S. strike on Iran nuclear facilities. And I would say he is strongly considering it. I hope you don't fall for it, to be honest with you. Just, you know, my opinion, but, you know, we shall see. And then in addition, on Monday, there was a big Japanese bombshell in reference to the thing that I wanted to share with you guys. Professor Dr. Murakami from Tokyo Science University stated that they now have data on the people who did it versus the people who didn't. And they've been compiling it now on over 18 million people. And they now have evidence that the more doses you get, the sooner you're likely to be sick, to die, whatever it is. And they're starting to link it together. I'm going to watch this issue because you guys know my history a lot. And I really hope that justice someday is served. Trump says that everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. Isn't it amazing, guys? We're still on Monday. It's kind of why I wanted to do it this way. Thousands of people were seen fleeing Tehran after Trump warned them to evacuate immediately. Trump later went on to not tweet out, it was on his Trump's social media, unconditional surrender. And it's interesting how we've, you know, just gone from, in just a matter of a short week, to, you know, they're their own country. Now, then nothing's acceptable but unconditional surrender. Trump then on Monday ordered his entire National Security Council to be present, prepared in the Situation Room upon his arrival. This is interesting, right? He was up in Canada and called that meeting short to come back on Monday and have discussions with the National Security Council. Israeli Channel 14 then went on to report that night that Trump is expecting to sign the presidential order in the coming hours to join the war, which, as far as I know right now, has not done. Let's see here. Let's keep trucking. I'm going to skip some stuff just because I'm going to run out of time in a hurry. We still got lots of time, but I have a lot of slides. Continuing on Monday, Israelis Mossad used explosives to destroy the infrastructure and water pipelines in Tehran. And so there was water flowing down the streets. And so Israel, you know, they want to make an argument a lot about how they bomb military stuff and Iran bombs civilians and civilian stuff, but I don't think that that is true. And they're, you know, they're targeting water systems, and I recognize that water goes to the military too, but I would also argue that's an attack on the civilians. Mossad's VIP pedophile blackmail material hacked by Iran days before Israel declared war. There's a lot of links in this. I have nothing that tells me that this is true. I have nothing verifiable, but other than to say there's a lot of people out there saying that this all goes back to the Epstein list, and that they have, you know, that Mossad has names of, you know, influential people here and in Israel and in other places. And this is what this is, you know, really going with, but I guess we shall see. Another fascinating thing is that almost immediately, hey, LJC, how are you? Good to see you. I hope we see you guys soon. The USS Nimitz is being sent to the region for Israel to sink it, they claimed. Hey, Unchained 69, how are you? Good to see you. So anyway, they sent the USS Nimitz to the region, and some people are saying that this aircraft carrier group is there so that they can suck Iran or whatever into sinking it. And you might think, why would they want an aircraft carrier sunk? Well, this particular aircraft carrier is scheduled to be retired next year. It's over 50 years old. It's the oldest aircraft carrier in the fleet. And there was already one aircraft carrier, and since then they've now sent another one. But there are a lot of people talking about how this could absolutely be that, false flag type thing that draws America into the war and gets the support of the public. We shall see. G. John says it was originally to be retired this year. Only true if they can get planes and Americans off of it. I don't know. I mean, I could rant G. John's here a whole bunch. I mean, as Hillary Clinton once said, at this point, what does it matter? Anyway, I'll leave that one right there. Let's see here. Amy B says a wild, hot, spicy Friday night on a zero turn. Yep, love that. Good night, RN. Good to see you. All right, let's keep trucking, huh? Did you know we're still on Monday?
No. Oh my God.
Yep, the Ayatollah Khomeini delivers an emotional address to the public amid reports of an assassination plot against him. My body holds little value. My life bears no significance. Even if they kill me, do not count it as our loss as long as you remain steadfast on the principles of Imam Hussein. We are winning this war as long as we do not bow before the dictators, before power and greed, as long as we uphold the ideas of Islam. Imam Hussein. Iran then claimed new attack methods causing Israeli systems to target each other. I don't know if you guys seen this or not. This was really big. So when I watched the video of this, and I can't guarantee you that Iran is who did this, but I can tell you that I watched a video that had an interceptor missile launch, and another interceptor missile launch to hit an ICBM from Iran, and instead they turned on each other and blew each other up. And Iran is claiming that they hacked the system and that's how that worked. So I guess we'll find out. Amy B says, good news from my corner of the globe is today is my 34th nurse-iversary.
Happy nurse-iversary.
Happy nurse-iversary. That's good stuff.
34 years.
Yep. Let's see. Based on
Congratulations.
Based on seismic activity near the Fardo nuclear facility, it appears Iran may have just tested a nuclear weapon. And what was interesting is this came out on Monday, and today, north central, I think it was, Iran had a 5.2 earthquake today, which I have in a slide later on down the road. Many pictures are being posted about Iran mobilizing their ground troops. There's lines and lines of trucks and tanks and stuff. But again, hard to tell if it's true. U.S. official confirms that to Fox News that President Trump in the last couple of days stopped a plan by Israel to take out the supreme leader. I think taking him out would be a mistake. They're going to absolutely make a martyr of him. Who comes next? Who knows? But again, I obviously don't know all the facts either. So I'm smart enough to know that. Let's see what else. The Islamic Republic of Iran also hacked Israeli Channel 14 News and then played an audio clip of Hitler. You ready for Tuesday?
Hey, real quick, I was going to ask. So
It's not Tuesday. We're still on Monday.
We have a friend who has a turkey that is foaming or spitting and laying on the ground and not sure what to do for it. If anybody knows, anybody ever have a turkey lay on the ground and like foam at the mouth? Like, what do you do for that? I've never seen that.
I don't know. If any of you guys have any tips, please put your comments in there, and we'll make sure they get to the right person.
Seems like he's having trouble breathing.
Chinese media has begun broadcasting live from Tel Aviv, signaling that something big and unusual will happen tonight. Again, this was on Monday. Right, newly declassified intelligence reports from August 2020 show Chinese had mass-produced fake U.S. driver's license to carry out a scheme to hijack the 2020 presidential election with fake mail-in ballots explicitly for Democrat Joe Biden. The FBI fully dismissed these reports without investigation on September 17, 2020. In a testimony before the House Homeland Security Committee, Christopher Wray primarily highlighted Russia as the most significant threat. The documents were turned over to the Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman, Chuck Grassley, Republican from Iowa. But they are now saying that the FBI has documents which does reveal the CCP produced these and interfered with the election. China also had 2 large cargo planes who flew from China and turned their responders off, and right before they landed somewhere in Iran. And so we don't know what those big cargo planes are delivering. Maybe it's humanitarian aid, right? I guess nobody knows. G. John says the British are coming. They are coming. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Could that turkey have been poisoned somehow? Charcoal might help.
Ooh, charcoal.
That's a good one. That's a good one. She's listening. She's on here.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, maybe go ahead and you want to type her a message. You're obviously welcome to do so.
I thought it was hot.
Tuesday? That was all Monday.
Jeez.
Exciting. Right?
Yeah.
All right. On Tuesday, there was a report out of Germany that Israel was beginning to run low on jet fuel. Isn't it interesting how as soon as that report comes out, just a few days later, a bunch of air refuelers from the United States began moving into the Middle East? Not a coincidence. I also find it, I think I know this, I'm not 100% sure, but because again, AI makes this whole thing tricky, right? But it seems to me that the defenses for Israel are not as successful as they've been, as there's much more video evidence now of much bigger explosions and much more damage. I know Israel's really trying to control that and not let a lot of stuff out, as I would imagine Iran is, but it sure seems like, Iran is just not going to surrender, in my opinion. Hey, Mary Michelle, welcome. Good to see you. Rapid Cody says testing 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
All right, let's keep trucking. Oh my goodness, I'm never going to get to all of it. Did you guys hear that General Mills announced that it will remove all the artificial colors from the entire U.S. product line? This is pretty exciting, right? And this one was really heartbreaking to me. Yeah, Rapid Cody says YouTube is blocking me on the PC and not on the phone. Interesting. Yeah, Rapid Cody, I'll tell you something. I don't know why it happens, but I get lots of comments from you guys that say, hey, my comment was removed. I've had 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, if you look back in the lives, I had the thumbnail removed, and they said that the thumbnail violated their standards. And I don't know why it happens. The jury sides with Appleton Hospital in wrongful death suit filed by the family of Grace Shara. And what happened was she was, they were going to have to make a decision whether to resuscitate or not resuscitate. And the hospital made the decision for the family without the family's consent and decided not to.
To resuscitate?
To
do not resuscitate?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then the jury sided with Appleton Hospital. So I think that's sad. I want to dig a little more into this case because obviously there's always more to it.
When my mom choked last year
mm-hmm.
and she was found non-responsive, they pushed us into making her a DNR
mm-hmm.
at that time because she was wanting to eat for comfort. And they said that she will eventually aspirate and die. And so at that point in time, she was a DNR. And then when she fell this time and she went back into the hospital, they said, what you need to consider making her a DNR. And I said, well, I thought she already was because we had to sign that last time that she was here. And they said that was last time that she came. This time it was a new situation. And so they said that she was at that point in time to have to be resuscitated. And then we were like, well, wait, we thought she wasn't. Well, we didn't change anything, but when we were called in to have the meeting about the care, the comfort care, he had said that she was a DNR. And we went, wait, no, I thought it started over when she came back. And they said she was until the doctor that you talked to changed it. And we were like, why did he change it? Just because we were under the assumption that she was a DNR. We didn't say put her back that. We were like, oh, I didn't know it started over. I didn't know that she had the option to now be resuscitated. Like I thought that because we thought that she was a DNR then, that she was always forever going to be that, but it wasn't that case. But they went ahead and did that without us saying to do that, which apparently that's a common thing then.
Yeah. LJC says, oh, that burns me up. As a parent of a Down syndrome young adult, this hits too close to home. JB said Grace had Downs. Her dad was thrown out of her room. The staff put a DNR on her chart and proceeded to give her 2 or 3 jugs that were a lethal combination. Yeah. Well, again, I mean, the way that we've built a culture, a society, a country, a government is to where they look at you as you're either a contributor to the tax dole or you're a taker from the tax dole, right? And it's really unfortunate because innocent people get to pay for that, who absolutely don't deserve that, so that we can send hundreds of billions of dollars to places like Iran, so that we can send hundreds of billions of dollars to places like Israel so they can blow each other up. Tell me how that makes any sense.
That ain't right.
Anyway, you want to keep going on Tuesday? Lindsey Graham warns that Trump should go all in on Iran as Security Council meets. The former head of the CIA counterterrorism operations in Afghanistan discloses high-level intel that we have that crossed the point of no return and will go to war directly with Iran as soon as Thursday. Again, you guys got to remember this was Tuesday, right? The White House has called the full lid meeting for the evening, indicating that President Trump is not expected to make any public appearances, issues further announcements, or be seen on camera tonight or for the rest of the day. And then, interestingly enough, AOC unites with Thomas Massie. Now, there's a pair, right, that you'd never think would, unite, as Thomas Massie tries to block Trump's war on Iran. And I think someone who got elected as a freedom supporter, to have Thomas Massie on your bad side, at the very least, that should throw some kind of, red flag. No one cares who or how much anyone else gets from the feeding. No one cares. I'll make sure I understand this. No one cares who or how much anyone else gets through the feeding trough, as long as they get theirs as well. And Graham is one of the biggest war hawks. Graham went on to say, headline tonight is we're moving into the land of force. If we need to provide bombs to Israel, we need to provide the bombs. If we need to fly planes with Israel, we'll do joint operations. Wouldn't the world be better off if the Ayatollahs went away and replaced with something better? I think it'd be better if Lindsey Graham went away and replaced with something better. That's what I think. Lindsay would say that 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 year ago, last month, and today. Yes, he would. I think that's who needs to be replaced. The Ayatollah needs to be replaced, the people of Iran need to stand up and insert a government that best suits their interests. That's what I think. Anyway, I don't know if you guys seen the Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson interview. This was absolutely crazy. Right. And this is exactly why I question the narrative all the time. It's things just like this. There was a lot that went on that was pretty disgusting, in my opinion. But he asked Ted Cruz, the senator from Texas, he said, hey, how many people live in Iran? And Cruz said, I don't know the population. And Tucker said, you don't know the population of the country you seek to topple? Cruz said, how many people live in Iran? Tucker said, 92 million. How do you not know that? This is brutal. And again, you're talking about toppling a nation. You should probably, have some, facts behind it and to support why this is important. You say this is going to make the world better, but you should know the basics, I think. When, in my early days in the corporate world, when we'd go buy companies, I knew everything. Everything to, who their managers were, who was married, who had kids, which employee was the most profitable. I mean, I looked at everything because you're trying to make the absolute best decision you can possibly make.
Right.
This is even bigger. This is toppling a nation. This is killing people with bombs, Yeah, absolutely, G. John says, I bet he knew there were 9.8 million in Israel since they pad his pockets. And LJC says, yeah, the AIPAC tracker says Cruz got 1.9 million from him last year. Yeah, it's
Wow.
What an absolute scam. Amazing exchange. Eric Trump says his father does not want to go to war and he wants peace on earth, but won't bow down to the military industrial complex. This, I hope, is true. But he also wants to knock Iran's head off. This, I hope, is not true, to prevent them from using nuclear weapons against Israel and the United States. World War III has already started. Steve Bannon just sounded the alarm. Another Warhawk, right? Alarm that said the next 200 days could decide the fate of the American Republic. He warned that if America doesn't get things sorted out now, we'll be dragged into a full-scale war with Iran, and the death toll could surpass that of World War II. Yeah, Mo, for the 100% win, said art of the war is to know your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I think he made Ted Cruz look really poor. Trump went on to say they should have done a deal. Right? I'm not in the mood to negotiate right now. Anyone else think Trump knows a lot more than he's letting on right now? He looks tired and semi-defeated, almost as if he tried his best. Turns out Trump couldn't defeat pure evil after all. I think this is actually a really good statement. This isn't a knock on Trump in any way, but as I said earlier, in our live, I think Trump has to fight half the United States plus most of the world.
Yeah.
There's a lot of forces behind him, pushing in the opposite direction. I mean, you know how hard it'd be to run a small company, let's just say a $5 million company. If your head sales manager was working against you and your operations manager was working against you and you had all these people, that'd be really hard to actually run a successful company, if you had those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Trump went on to say America first means many great things, including the fact that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. How does making America great again and Iran not having a nuclear weapon, how is that, relevant to each other? Trump's final warning to Iran on Tuesday was, your cities will be reduced to ashes. The drums of war are beating louder. In a fiery declaration, President Trump has promised overwhelming retaliation if Iran continues its threats against Israel. Sprint Observer commented that Trump said, we are saving Israel for the very last time. Does that mean that he's wearing thin of that? And is he getting pressure from, all of the people behind the scenes that he needs to join? See, I think that's kind of what's happening a little bit. I think that he did very well, could be likely that they're trying to trick him into getting into a war for a political purpose because the midterms are coming. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't know. I mean,
you think it's just a game?
I think it's all a game. It's about power and money and corruption. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I think it's a big game of chess. We need to kick every Congress member who enjoys Israeli citizenship out of Congress and make Tom Massey for president. Yeah, I was not happy when Trump started, talking all that mean stuff about Massey. And it's okay. You don't have to get along with everybody, but everything I've ever been involved in, Massey's a pretty square guy, Yeah, Rapid Cowdy says Trump has a lot on his shoulders. I bet he does. Yeah. He's got a tough job. Look at what Obama and Biden did with Iran. Only helped them. 100% agreed. Yep. I'll stand behind him and hold him up if needed, though. Yep. There are some things I really like that Trump does, and there are some things I really don't like, that I think are super dangerous. But let me see. It was also quoted that Russia no longer supports the Islamic Republic, although I can tell you I have found plenty of evidence that is not true. Why is Trump asking Iran for surrender if we haven't even declared war? I think it's a fair question. And Trump demands Iran's unconditional surrender as the U.S. prepares to go to war with Iran, triggering a global military and financial crisis. There was some word tonight that they were going to wait for the markets to close tonight, and then they were going to try to take out those nuclear facilities. I have not seen that. Now, in fairness, I've been on the live for an hour and 43 minutes. So, it very well could be happening, and I just don't know it. Let's see here. And then LJC goes on to say, Thomas Massey is the only American first politician and sacrificed his wife for his stance. Yes, standing is hard, Let's see here. We're by the way, we're on Tuesday. We're not going to get to all of them. I better pick up the pace, huh?
You got 15 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of summarize all these instead of read them. So Donald Trump, you guys know, is now gotten into a pissing match with Tucker Carlson, referring to him as Kooky Tucker. And so they went back and forth. And something that I absolutely hate is that his, you guys know who Tulsi Gabbard is, right? And so she's, head of the the National Intelligence Agency, and she was not invited to some of these meetings recently. She's gone on record saying that she does not believe that Iran has nuclear weapons. And guys, this is the head, right, of national intelligence saying that, wait a second, I don't think this. And to which Trump just says she's wrong. She's wrong, except she's the head of the national intelligence.
Great.
And, but what's crazy about that? That's not what bothers me the most. Whether whose side, maybe Tulsi's on the bad side and she's trying to help the Democrats. I don't know, and I don't care. But I can tell you this for certainty: you don't roll your people. I wouldn't do it.
You mean as far as Trump saying she's wrong? Yeah.
What he needs to say, if he thinks she's wrong in her statement, he needs to pick up the phone and have a conversation with her, not make it a public 8th grade ordeal. Right? You're supposed to be tight as a team, and you're trying to face the whole world and half of America. What you don't do is roll your troops. I've had a lot of people work for me, and I would never go on.
He's like, you're wrong.
Yeah. Could you imagine a company, a small company, a $5 million company, that when the vice president of the company was upset at the head sales guy, he went on Facebook and talked shit?
Right.
Come on.
Right.
This is usually 8th grade bullshit.
Usually they fire him, don't they?
Yeah, but you wouldn't do it on Facebook.
No, but surely she can have her job still.
Well, she's still there as far as I know, but I do not like that part at all. I think that is just super, super, super tacky. Yeah. Packrat says, when Massey did not get the cabinet position, I realized that we were on just another turn of the merry-go-round. And I fear this a lot. Let's see here. Trump said that he has been given intel that leads him to believe that they may already have a nuclear missile. But this is crazy, right? Where's he getting his intel from? Not the director of intelligence? I mean, let's see here. Mo said
got a lot of people.
Yeah, Mo says Tulsi's statement was out of context. Well, except that she said the words, they do not have it.
And then he came back and said she's wrong.
Right. I mean, so I'm sure that the media spun it to, whatever, helps them best. Also, pictures were taken. The first 8 of 12 U.S. Air Force F-22s have departed the United Kingdom and are currently en route to the Middle East. This is big. The F-22 is the most capable fighter in the world, and the most expensive also. And so again, more. Yeah, I think that's right. Hippocrates goes weapons of mass destruction again. Yeah, don't forget who told us that, Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, right? Tehran police released footage of 2 arrested Afghan spies. So apparently Afghanistan spies put up by Germany are now being arrested inside of Iran. How would Alex know what intel Trump has been given? I don't know how he would know, and it might actually not even be true. But I can tell you, I watched Trump with his own words say that Tulsi Gabbard is wrong. And I watched Tulsi Gabbard in her own words say that they don't have it. So I know this to be true. But I think, Nitos, you've got a very great point. And every slide I put on here, guys, I don't know if they're true. I try to do my very best to find, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, posts that kind of collaborated. I try to research. That's why it takes me all day to do it. But it's getting harder and harder to know what the truth is. You see, did you guys see that video of the Iranian military guy stroking the baby nuclear missile? That was weird. I don't know if you've seen that, but that was yeah.
Where would we have seen this?
It's on social media. Yeah. I thought it was pretty interesting. Let's see. Striking American bases is far easier for us than hitting Israel, Iran commented. If the U.S. plans any aggression against Iran, it must first prepare for 50,000 coffins of its forces. G. John says, food for thought. Iran is the last country that we haven't influenced in the Middle East in the past 30 years. Yeah, I think that's why I kind of started the conversation with, they had plans for the Middle East long ago, and the only one of the countries that hasn't been, to your point, G. John, is that. Let's see here. I'm going to skip that one because I'm going to run out of time. A couple things from China real quick. You guys know, because I covered it, pretty good, that Planeteer, the new company that Trump's, which by the way, the the guy that runs Planeteer is a liberal, but yet Trump signed them to create the big database for Americans that put all your medical records and your driving history and everything in one place.
Oh, great.
Right. It was a company called Planeteer. But anyway, the boss guy, the Planeteer, said the U.S. will very likely fight a 3-front war against Russia, China, and Iran, says Planeteer's Alex Karp. China issues a veiled threat. CCP officially warned, so it's China. If countries join the war alongside Israel, don't exclude the possibility that major powers will join Iran. Chinese President Xi Jinping warns the world can move forward without America. Empires fell when they forgot respect. U.S. won't be an exception. Sources are suggesting China is now preparing for war with Taiwan. You guys want to see the world explode? Let Russia be taking on Ukraine, Israel be taking on Iran, and watch what happens when Japan invades Taiwan. I mean, I don't know how in the world you do anything but World War at that point. I mean, that's all of them, And of course, we've got our, fingers in all of it,
Right.
All my resources are telling me to get your house in order and don't let the noise of the day sway you from that. It's coming. Just get yourselves ready. 100% agreed. 100% agreed. We work on it every day. There are reports that the U.S. is now transferring weapons out of the Ukraine and into Israel, which what that would tell me is they're abandoning Ukraine, which means that, Putin would pretty much have an open, pretty much open. And he has now come out since then, and it's not in this slide, but again, I'm trying to hurry through them. Come out and said that he wants a full unconditional surrender from Ukraine, and he's going to take all of it now. And of course, so the U.S. is up to, okay, do we defend them or do we not defend them? And so furthermore, Afghanistan said that if America joins with Israel, that Afghan will join with Pakistan and Israel. And the lines are being drawn. You ready for Wednesday?
Oh my gosh.
I know, right?
That was a long Monday and Tuesday.
I'll hurry. B-2 bombers are en route to the Middle East. This would be the plane that would cover the bunker buster bombs that they talk about. I have lots of pictures and lots of confirmed stuff that would say that this is true. Also, the British aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth has gone through the Suez Canal, and they are on high alert. And then the U.S. has also announced that they will add a third carrier to the deployment. The USS Ford Aircraft Carrier Battle Group is also joining the fight. These are you don't get any better than this stuff. You know what I mean? And it's all heading over there right now. Let's see here. I'm going to skip that. Yeah, there ain't nothing important there. A couple other things. Did you guys see that tornado in Nebraska? They said this was the picture perfect tornado. Can you believe that lady standing there taking that picture? Must not been moving towards her. Pictures are hard to tell. An X 1.2 class solar flare erupted from the sun. And that's a big enough one to, have the EMP effect of, like a Carrington event, where we would pretty much be back into the dark ages. Get yourself an EMP shield. Discount code free 50. Free 50. We should get you a nice discount. Also, if you live in America, pay attention to this. The summer of chemically injected watermelons are hitting the market because watermelons are in high demand. They're injecting the ones that aren't ready with chemicals so that they look riper and redder, and they will last longer on the shelf.
Yep, makes sense.
Grow your own watermelons. Right? Yep, let's see here. Rabbit Coyote said, seen plenty of tornadoes back when I lived in Nebraska. And Farm Ranch Homestead says that tornado in Nebraska hardly moved at all, which is one of the reasons it was so photogenic. Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Iran pledged, I don't know if you guys seen this tonight, they pledged on Wednesday that there would be a huge surprise that would be remembered for centuries. It never showed up, which I found interesting. The supreme leader said the U.S. president threatens us with his absurd rhetoric, his demands that the Iranian people surrender to him. Iran is saying they will, under no condition will they be surrendering at all. Putin's declared Russia is going to take full control over all of the Ukraine. Unconditional surrender, as I mentioned before. Let's see here. Putin went on to comment about how it's the men in dark suits that rule America and that President Trump really has no power. North Korea launched additional missiles. You like Wednesday so far?
No.
FBI increasing domestic surveillance due to possible sleeper cells in America, leaked to Hezbollah. Kash Patel sounded the alarm on the Federal Reserve. He's now saying that the Federal Reserve is not doing their job. They're a private company, as all of us have already known. They're not a public, not part of the government. And there's been some suggestions they should just make Trump the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Now, isn't that a dumb idea? This is why we have the separation, right? This is why you have an executive branch, a judicial branch, and a legislative branch. You don't want those powers crossing. I understand that it's a private company, but if he is the one deciding to spend the money and he also gets to control how much money is printed, that's a bad combination, right? I found it interesting and ironic that people in Tijuana, Mexico are now rioting because of the immigration problems they're having down there. Isn't that ironic? I don't know if you guys seen that the ICE officials were denied entry into the Dodger Stadium in California. And again, this is just divide, right? Pretty soon you're going to have police forces fighting ICE. Mm-hmm. And I was joking on Grumpy's Live the other night. You're preparing for, World War III or Civil War. 22 states in the United States of America have less than 3 million people. California has 2.7 million illegals, adding 5 congressional seats. This means congressionally and the electoral college wise, California illegals have as much say as 22 other states.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, it's not even a little bit.
You don't think that's fair? Oh, look at that. And guess what we're on to? Thursday. You excited? I'm trying to hurry. I'm watching the clock, right? Let's see here. The Rolling Stones magazine reported Trump finally gets the police state he's been craving for years. That's exciting. General Flynn again urges President Trump and J.D. Vance to hold back on striking Iran, advised them to stay focused on the mission that they were elected to carry out, and this I agree with. The new war is escalating quickly. Trump says everything's on the table to include tactical nuclear missiles. The senior IRGC general went on to say any ceasefire now will lead to a renewed war. So now even Iran is saying they don't want a ceasefire. Israel don't want a ceasefire. Trump don't want a ceasefire, and Iran don't want a ceasefire. So I would not imagine that tomorrow we'll wake up and it's all over. And if it is, it's probably because of a very, very bad thing. Lots of reports have said that the supreme leader himself has been assassinated, but I'm going to tell you guys something. I found nothing to collaborate it other than a handful of X posts. So I would not count that as true, although it is being reported. Let's see here. Portland, Oregon had a nightmare. I don't know if you guys watched that, but there was about 250 riders that got in a big fist fight with police. Again, I don't have time to cover that all that deeply. Permapasture Farms, my buddy said, we made it to the longest day of the year. Let's just hope that's referring to sunshine and not the Kevlar on bullets flying, storming the beaches of Normandy kind of way. Yeah. Yep. And while we were sleeping, 16 billion passwords leaked from Apple, Google, Facebook, etc. Make sure you guys are changing your passwords now. Would be an absolute great time to do so. Right? I think, let me see here. Friday, big stuff happened today. Trump talked about selling the federal land so that people could have more housing. I love that idea. The federal government was never designed to own the land that they now own. And so I think that would be a good gig and would definitely be against the globalist plan to seize 30% of all land and water on planet Earth, which is in their stated goals. J.D. Vance also said, I'm proud to announce that with the help of Kennedy, the Trump administration is launching a program to study the long-term health effects of the chemical spill in East Palestine. That's overdue.
Jeez.
And with all, hey, Big B, how are you? Let's see here. Sorry, wrong one. Let's see here. LJC says, as long as they don't sell it to their friends or China.
The passwords.
Yeah, or the land. I think she's talking about the land. Oh, man, how did I do that? Anyway, what a mess, right? I'm trucking, baby. The war is escalating between Israel and Iran. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis stepped up, and he is sending planes and ships to evacuate the stranded Americans in Israel. Let's see here. 4 government officials have officially pled guilty to a $550 million U.S. aid scheme. Again, I was going to cover that more, but because we are running out of time, I'm not. Unemployment claims hit an 8-month high as job market shows strain. Ted Cruz says all Christians must worship whoever is in charge of Israel. Biblically, we are commanded to support Israel. That's dangerous. So that's how you turn an elected official into a god.
Mm-hmm.
No thanks. An Iranian missile hit the Microsoft Center in Israel. That was interesting. What else here? Yeah, basically they're bombing each other. It seems to me that the success rate of the Iranians is increasing. But again, it's so hard to tell, right? I'm guessing at this point, Israel's Iron Dome is no more. It's difficult to see how Israel will be able to continue to function as a country. Well, it's easy. You got 3 United States aircraft carriers, B-2 bombers, and truckloads and cargo plane loads of material landing in Israel every single day. Someone needs to figure out the difference between Zionists and the Jewish people. I agree with that. Kind of we're interacting. I promise you, the vast majority of the Jewish people want nothing to do with this. They just want to live their life, right? Just like the rest of us. Let me see. B-2 bombers showed up. I'll skip all that. Other than Iran had a big internet blackout, another big hack. Lots of people are protesting. And then, as I mentioned, a 5.2 earthquake hit northern Iran, largest quake since 2024. I find that very convenient timing that an earthquake hit Iran, not far from all of the, Tehran and all of the bombs that have been dropping. Probably just a coincidence. All right. Yeah, I think I am going to stop right there because we made it Friday. And B, why don't you get us out of here? What are your parting words for these fine folks today?
To make sure that you are being the peace in your house. Make sure you are being the peace in your family. You're not the chaos, the crazy person trying to cause more trouble, unwillingly, unknowingly.
I think there would be, I'll say it another way. Right.
Sure.
Okay. With all the craziness that's going on in the world, even us
Yeah.
joining together here tonight to have a live and to look at all of the headlines, all the stuff going on from an economic perspective, from a medical perspective, from a food perspective, from all of the things that we have going on. When your significant other comes home, be the peace.
Be the peace.
Right? Be the solution. Don't be a drag on them. Don't be part of the problem. And I'm going to speak directly to women, all you girls out there, coming from a husband's perspective, and then I'll speak to the men too.
As soon as they walk in the door.
You need to be your husband's peace. That's what he wants more than anything. More than anything in the world, what he wants is to come home to peace. Because the world and everything we face out there is nothing but chaotic. The last day I left here and spent time at the office working, I did nothing but put fires out all day long. That's all I did. All day, from the start of the day to the end of the day. When I come home, I want my peace. Right? I want a family who loves me for who I am. And that's it. So I promise you, wives, you want to know how to get your husband? Be his peace. And if you be his peace, you'll be wonderful. Now to the men, that works both ways. You have to be her peace too. Yeah. And you have to be the person to listen when she needs someone to talk to. You have to be the person who shares her dreams and her goals, and just as importantly, makes them yours. If you put her wishes on a platform and you say, I'm going to help her achieve the things that she wants, I'm going to help push her to be the very best version she is, then what comes out of that agreement is a beautiful relationship that can withstand Iran, that can withstand Russia, that can withstand the garden, that can withstand the dead cow, that can withstand the dead chicken, that can withstand the disease, the fence that fell down, the building that fell down, the county attorney, the permit people, the taxes that are paid, the electric bill, the phone bill, the mortgage bill. All of it is, you can get through it if you be the peace.
That's what I was saying.
I know. I speak B really well. High five. All right. Be out, tag out.
Hold the line.
Yeah. See you guys.